All right, back to it now as we jump back in the conversation. Line 5 and the replacement tunnel have been in the headlines for years now, literally. Enbridge bought Line 5, I don't know, decades ago. It runs energy along the bottom of the Straits of Mackinac, propane, oil, things like that, right? And so several years ago, Enbridge, a giant Canadian energy company, came out and said, look, we'll build a tunnel under the Straits of Mackinac by 100 feet, so you'll never have to worry about it. Never had a problem with this pipe, but we understand your concern. We'll build it, $500 million, and then we'll give it to Michigan, and you guys can control it, and you can use it for anything you want because it'll be a lot bigger than just moving propane and oil. You can put communications lines, fiber optics, whatever you want. Well, now the Supreme Court in Michigan decided to hear a case on the Enbridge Tunnel project permits. There's always something that pops up. Ryan Duffy, a member of the Enbridge Communications Team, with me. Ryan, never an easy day, is it?
No. Good morning, Steve. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Just had some good news get through. The Army Corps of Engineers kind of getting through that process, and because they've everything, every step of the way, including Governor Whitmer and Attorney General Nessel, trying to stop this project. I don't know why. It seems short-sighted to me, because this is an opportunity to have a better situation with less risk and a lot of benefit to Michigan, and yet here we are. So what's the Supreme Court going to decide in this matter?
Right, so that's what's popped up here most recently, and it goes back to the approval we received from the Michigan Public Service Commission, the MPSC, for the project. It made that approval decision in 2023, and actually the Michigan Court of Appeals affirmed that that was the right decision. So now a couple of groups have asked the Supreme Court to look at it, and so that's what's going to be happening here. So from our perspective, we're confident in the MPSC's thorough process that it took over the last few years. It took more than 3 years in total, actually, carefully reviewing the project. And we agree with that February decision from the Court of Appeals that affirmed the work the MPSC did. So the Court of Appeals said that more or less the MPSC appropriately looked at where that location of Line 5 is going to be, that replacement segment inside the tunnel, and that the approval was consistent with Michigan law. So we definitely agree for that. And for us now here in our tunnel team, you know, they're hard at work each and every day, moving this project forward, focused on the work they need to do. And that is going to be the tunnel project, which moves the tunnel deep under the lake bed at the Straits, makes what always has been a very safe pipeline that much safer, and it makes sure people have all the access to the energy they need. And the project's going to support jobs and the economy.
Yeah, and in fact, you're talking about hiring only Michigan people, right? You want to hire as many Michigan people, now not exclusively, but to the best of your ability, hire people here in Michigan. I mean, and these are going to be really fabulous paying jobs, right? These are good jobs, good paycheck to be getting, right?
Absolutely. We're committed to using Michigan labor. It's going to be more than 2 million labor hours. And so, of course, that's a boost to the economy up there in that area. The restaurants, the hotels, the businesses there, all of those things. And we have a lot of great support in the community there because they can see what this project is going to bring.
Let me ask you this. What's the time frame here? You get involved because these court cases, as you know, it's a process. You'd think, well, you file it, and they'll take them a couple of weeks. They can figure this right out, but they don't. Several months will pass. You know, it could be a year from now. And this thing, when it goes to the Supreme Court, it could be there for who knows how long, right? That's got to be a concern for Enbridge.
Well, definitely a concern. I mean, this has been a lengthy process. I've been talking to you about it here for the last 5 years at least.
Yeah, a long time.
We signed the tunnel agreement back in 2018. And so we filed for all these permits in 2020, actually. And so it's definitely been lengthy for us here. And, you know, we're down to the two final permits, the Army Corps, of course, you mentioned. Then there's Eagle, the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy. And as we've talked about, we did receive that Eagle permit in 2021, but the process with the Army Corps has drawn on to where now that Eagle permit would expire in the early part of next year. So that's right around the time we would likely need it and when we would try to break ground. So we need to renew that permit. That's looking at potential impacts in the construction areas up there at the
Yeah.
Straits. And we know it's important to minimize those. That's the whole design of the project, was to have the smallest
Yeah.
environmental impact
Yeah.
possible, the smallest footprint possible.
And
So
I
that's
didn't mean to
important.
laugh, but
Yeah.
it's the absurdity of it at some point. You know, it just gets me personally. I don't have a great amount of patience, generally speaking. This would drive me wild. I mean, this would just drive me absolutely wild. All right, so you mentioned breaking ground. With all of these things still moving so slowly and uncertain, I mean, you'd like to break ground next year. We've talked about that for the last couple of years. You kind of thought maybe 2026 you could do that, but if you don't have what you need here, or a permit expires, or you have to start a process again, you're just still up in the air.
Yeah, I mean, it continues to be the case that permitting really is driving the timeline. The Army Corps has said, though, they're looking to have a final environmental impact statement out at the end of this year and make a decision toward the end of this year. And so, if that's the case, then we would look to early part of next year, hopefully be breaking ground up there at the Straits. And then, of course, from there, construction could start, but that's going to be a process in itself. I mean,
Well,
that would
yeah.
likely take 4 to 5 years.
Well, here's my comment on that. You've gotten no peace any step of the way. I don't think you're going to get peace once you break ground either. I think that the people that are opposed to you, that are opposed to energy, frankly, that are opposed to energy projects in general, are going to continue to try to put roadblocks in front of you even after you start the tunnel project. Do you think I'm wrong?
Well, I think you're right. We continue to see, a small group, a small minority that I think opposed Line 5 to begin with. So, of course, they're likely to oppose any reasonable solution or safety improvement or anything having to do with Line 5. But again, that's a small minority. We're seeing a lot of support. More than 70% of people support the project. We're seeing a ton of support in these public comment periods we've had for the permitting, just comments coming in
Right.
from all different groups all across the state. So generally, by and large, we do have a large amount of support for the project.
Yeah, and even though every project like this is unique, it's not like it's the only tunnel project going on in the country, right? We've only got about 30 seconds here, but, it's not like it's never been done before, right?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, well, we know there's 30 major tunnel projects happening right now in the country,
30.
totaling about $50 billion.
Huh.
Huge tunnels going under cities, through mountains, underwater for traffic, highways in there, all of those things. So there are great companies that do it using the tunnel boring machine technology that we're going to
Yeah.
use. So it's proven technology. It works. And that's what we're going to bring to our project at the Straits.
Well, Ryan, I'm sure we will talk again as we creep through this process. We're going to get there, you and I, at some point together. I wish you well. We'll talk again soon. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thanks, Steve.
There you have it. Ryan Duffy, everybody from Enbridge. Man, they just a roadblock at every turn. Every time they slow them down. Look, I'm familiar with court processes. It's going to be a while. Supreme Court tends to move a little bit slower than the others. We'll see what happens. Around the corner, it's Ivy time. I'll be right back.